Hello everybody, how are you all doing? Welcome back to Man City Unplugged, your very own Man City fan channel. We're getting closer and closer to the Community Shield game. I'm very excited for that because we have had a fantastic preseason. I mean, people might think that we played fewer matches in the preseason, but looking at the spirit in the game, looking at how we have approached the preseason games, looking at how Calvin Phillips, Haaland, and Alvarez have gelled into the team and stuff. I can't help but look forward to that Community Shield game against Liverpool to exactly know where we are in terms of fitness wise, in terms of certain players like Josh Wilson, Brand, for example, and Cole Palmer, all of those players, MBT, all of those players, how well can they cope with the Premier League? I mean, cope with the high quality Premier League opposition. So interesting times coming up, but something that is more interesting is the transfer window and Cucurella. All of the talk in the last 2 3 days has been about Mark Cucurella, especially with Raum having been almost a deal for Rom having been concluded with Leipzig. So one of our fullback targets is gone, so now we are left with Cucurella and Sosa, and also Alex Grimaldo is being mentioned. I'm not too sure about Alex Grimaldo because even last season, I think last season or before that, Alex Grimaldo has been offered to us, and Pep wasn't quite keen on him. Pep wasn't a fan of Alex Grimaldo. And there's another name that is doing the rounds actually. It's about Gerardo Artega. I don't think any one of us would have heard about Gerardo Artega. Suddenly, I have not heard about Gerardo Artega. I'm like a bit surprised by the name when I saw the name Gerardo Artega. I think it came yesterday or the day before that. I was like, who is he? Where does he play? Which league? And seems he plays for Genk, Kevin De Bruyne's old club. So maybe De Bruyne might have had some input for him on regarding Gerard Ortega. But coming back to Cucurella, the thing is, we have hit 30 million pounds last week, and Brighton are said to have lost at that 30 million pounds. Brighton want 50 million pounds. And you know what? The news is coming from reliable sources. Tixiki Bagaristan is, after a long time, getting ready for a transfer tussle. Tixiki Bagaristan is doesn't want to give in to Brighton's demands because on paper, we have almost, I mean, we have had a net spend which is positive in this transfer window. So, I mean, and 50 million. I mean, seeing previously Benjamin Mendy, we have spent almost close to 55 million pounds in 2017, right? So, inflation adjusted, that amount spent on Benjamin Mendy would be almost equal to 75 million pounds in the transfer market as of today. So, I mean, spending 50 million pounds of Cucurella is almost nothing. It's the same as the amount you spent on Benjamin Mendy 4 5 years back. So I don't see why we are not going to spend that amount of money on Cucurella. JS says, if not Cucurella, will you be happy with Sosa? JS, actually, the thing is, Sosa, I mean, apart from Sosa, there's a new name that has popped up, Gerardo Artega. He is from Genk, it seems. I was also surprised by the name. He's from Genk, and he has some 4 or 5 Premier League, I mean, assists in the Genk League and stuff. And his 20 years and City same has a potential go-to target if we don't for Cucurella. I'm just struggling to understand how that works out. But yes, I would be actually happy with Sosa. I mean, again, this is the question. Would you want to go for Sosa, or would you want to risk another season with Wilson as brand and maybe play a Cancelo over there and then wait for another season so that you get Cucurella? Now that is the big question because Cucurella is a big target. I mean, the kind of player Cucurella is, the kind of spaces he moves into, there is no other fullback like Cucurella over there who does that. Sosa is very good. Sosa puts in good crosses. But if you observe the movement of Sosa and stuff like that, it still needs to be refined by Pep Guardiola. But Cucurella is a ready-made one. So I don't know why we are bargaining for 15 million pounds here and 15 million pounds there. See, we have sold Romeo Lavia for around 12 million pounds, right? Zinchenko for 30 million pounds, Lavia for 12 million pounds, Pedro Porro for 17 million pounds. You add that amount up, you get the money needed for Cucurella. I mean, the thing here is it's not about money. I think it's about City want to show to Brighton and other clubs who the boss in the transfer window is. City want to put out a point that we value a player, and if you don't accept our valuation, we are not going to overpay for that. We look at our next target. There was an interesting article actually which I read in goal.com which said that City should not be stubborn on their on their lack of overpayment on players and stuff like in the past and regret losing Cucurella. They wrote that our stubbornness might make us regret losing Cucurella. That statement, that regret losing Cucurella, it really hit me hard. So I was just thinking, what are our options actually if suppose Cucurella doesn't come? I mean, one of the options is maybe we play with Cancelo, Wilson as brand, and Kyle Walker as our three options. Jay says if we go for Artega, why not Groom as brand as the both are of the same age group? Now, JS, another problem is see when we are looking at our options, it's literally Walker, Wilson Esbrand, and Cancelo, right? Okay, Natanake, centre back, left back, he can shuffle, but literally we have three natural fullbacks. Now it's the same problem that might occur, which occurred last season, Champions League game. Why did we go out against Real Madrid? Why did we almost struggle there against Atletico Madrid? I mean, lack of fullbacks. I mean, injuries to fullbacks. It's a big risk if you don't replace Zinchenko and Benjamin Mendy. Mendy has been out for so long now. Zinchenko also has gone. So then it's just not Wilson as I mean we just can't trust Wilson as brand because Pep Guardiola, he made a very interesting statement regarding Wilson as brand. I think you can read it on the screen as well. It's there. Pep says Wilson as brand is aggressive in his play and all that. But Pep said a very interesting thing. In the last few years, Wilson has been constantly injured. So that is the reason why we couldn't fast track him into the first team. So that again points you that Wilson Esbrand is injury prone because at least pointing out to what happened in the last few years with him. So it's literally a risk. Kyle Walker, age 32 now, could pull a hamstring due to his paciness injury. So it's literally your. I mean, this season if you don't buy a fullback, it's almost like you're literally sticking uh, with just Cancelo and no option there at all. That would be even worse than how we suffered last season. Jesus, but if we start giving money what they want, they will always ask for extra money from City. I mean that is there, JS. But then the question here is what value is Cucurella according to City? What is his fair valuation? What do you think is his fair valuation in the market? 50 million pounds. If you ask me, I actually thought about it a few days back. I thought 50 million pounds is bang on fair. How much did United get that guy for from PSV? Malaysia is his name, right? Almost they got him for 15 to 20 million pounds, right? If he is 20 million pounds, is it right for us just to value Cucurella at 30 million pounds? Because Cucurella, someone who's educated in that La Masia system, someone who knows how to play the Pep system, Premier League proven player. So I mean, I think around about 40 45 million pounds is where they will meet. I'm thinking because I mean, the only reason in favor of City is the only thing is Cucurella wants to come to us, just like Mahrez did with Leicester. You remember Leicester didn't want to lower the fee, then Mahrez didn't come to training, and then we agreed a fee with Leicester midway, and then Mahrez joined us in January. So I think something like that could happen with Cucurella. JSS, if Pau Torres links are true, is it our backup plan to get a centre back and use Stones and Ake as fullbacks? But I don't think it's legit. No, JS, it's not legit. I mean, it's kind of a strange thing. I think using Stones as a right back because last season we have seen Stones did well as a right back in a few games, but as soon as the opposition winger had pace, Stones actually struggled. I mean, playing Ake and Jones as Ake and Stones as fullbacks, it has one obvious problem. The problem is teams who park the bus, they find it very easy because both of them, they're not natural fullbacks, right? They don't go on the outside and put balls into the box. So it's almost too predictable. I remember quite a few matches last season. Ake playing as left back, part the bus. We couldn't open the opposition up. Pep removes Ake and brings on Zinchenko. We scored 2-3 goals in 10 minutes. So it's going to be a problem if you think Ake and Stones are going to play. I don't think it's fair. But the stunning thing for me is where are these Pau Torres rumors coming? Because Luka MPT for me had an exceptional game against Club America. He was better than Nathan Ake over there. So I mean, you bring in Pau Torres, two things will happen. You're literally downgrading Luka MBT back to the academy because you already have four centre backs. Pau Torres would be fifth. MBT would, it doesn't work like that. You're downgrading MBT to the academy, and by bringing Pau Torres, you're not bringing something of an upgrade on the current players. You're in a way you're stagnating the team like Laporte and Pau Torres. What is the difference between both? Both are kind of a similar style of players, right? Both have limited pace, both pass the ball well. Why do you want to bring two similar profile kind of a players? But with Luka MBT, you're suddenly getting something different. You're getting pace. You're getting, that a little bit more of that, confidence and taking the ball out from the centre backs like a Stones does. Something which Pau Torres and Laporte don't do as often. So Luka MBT is an upgrade on Laporte, I would say. Okay, right now it doesn't seem to be that, but in a few years, I'm sure Luka MBT would become better than Laporte. JS says, but also the issue is they're constantly increasing Cucurella price. Initially, they wanted 35 million pounds, then 50 million pounds, and now excess of 50 million. Also, another factor, JS, I just keep on thinking that, Bissouma, the sale of Bissouma to Spurs from Brighton was a important factor in this transfer window because if we went first for Cucurella and then I'm quite sure that we would have got Cucurella for around 35-40 million pounds. Now that Bissouma is sold, Brighton have got some money. They don't have to sell. I think I always thought that was a major factor why Brighton are quoting a higher price. And also Brighton know this. Zinchenko is not there. Mendy is of course not there. So City have a vacant left back spot. City have no one who can play as a natural left back. So they are in a commanding position. They know that we don't have any more options lined up as well. Because who else are there? Sosa, Grimaldo, all of those rumors I don't believe. So literally Brighton know that we are desperate in a way for Cucurella, and when that is the condition, it's almost like Brighton can quote however much they want. That's how the market works, I guess. Yes, but also the issue is that uh, we have read that. So I think Brighton are in a position of strength right now, actually. Uh, Also, another piece of news regarding an academy youngster, Sam Edozie. All of us, we were discussing I think last week that Sam Edozie was going to pay at Leverkusen, but now Southampton are hijacking the deal for Sam Edozie. That's according to Fabrizio Romano. Southampton are ready to pay around 7 to 10 million pounds. You know how Southampton is becoming? They're all just like people joke that Southampton is playground for Liverpool. Liverpool's first team players. Like Liverpool always take players from Southampton's first team. It's the same thing happening with City's academy players. Southampton are just plucking all of the City's academy players and building their first team. So will be interesting. Sam Edozie. Personally, with this, I'm actually happy that Sam Edozie is going to Southampton, if he will, than a Bayer Leverkusen, because in the Premier League he can gain experience and stuff, and if he develops well, we can take him back, knowing that he has played in a league that is far more superior than the Bundesliga, for example. So I mean, I think the buyback clause will be interesting. Actually, I expect a buyback clause around 30-40 million pounds, just like how they have set it for Romeo Lavia for Sam Edozie. Always thought that Sam Edozie was a player who could break into the first team with the talent. especially with his showing in the last season, but injuries and all of that, timing was not right. That's it. JSS Southampton have become City's backyard. Exactly, exactly. Southampton have almost become the bridge between a City and a Liverpool, right? Southampton pick up the players from City's academy, and Southampton sell their first team players to Liverpool. It's almost like Southampton have become like a middleman in the supply chain. That is interesting. But I would be stunned if any of the City's academy players join Liverpool. I mean, it could happen honestly, because if Liverpool come back with, suppose, a Romeo Lavia develops well, I know we have the buyback clause, but Liverpool offer him good contract. He could go. There's a possibility there, but literally, I expect City to put in buyback clauses in each of these contracts that we are of the players that we're sending to Southampton. Gaurav is here. He says, "What if we don't sign Cucurella?" Exactly, Gaurav. That's the worry. All the preseason, everything ended well. I was like, fine. It's so peaceful. We could just go into the Community Shield match with Liverpool. It's been so good. The preparation, the spirit in the team, and everything. And now this Cucurella issue. I think the plan is Wilson as brand. He will start in the Community Shield, and I think we are going for Sosa actually. I think Sosa is the genuine backup plan. I mean, Alex Grimaldo has been mentioned actually. Alex Grimaldo has been mentioned for 15 million pounds since he's in the last year of his contract at Benfica. He's having a competition with another fullback at Benfica, and Grimaldo wants out of Benfica, and 15 million pounds they're telling. But Pep has never been a fan of Grimaldo, so I don't think we'll go for Grimaldo. I mean, we have two plans there. Plan A is sign Sosa, and that would be good. Plan B is don't sign Sosa. Wait for Cucurella for another season. Wilson S. Brand, Cancelo, Kyle Walker. I think those are the two plans. I mean, if we if we miss out, according to me personally, if you ask me, if we miss out on Cucurella, I think we'll have to. I think we can wait for him. We should wait for him actually for another half a season, at least, just like that Riyad Mahrez thing. Get him in January, and then in this half of the season, maybe do it with Cancelo and Wilson as brand. I know that's risky, but as a team, when have we not taken risks? Centurion season, no left back. Whom did you play at left back? A Fabian Delph. After that, when Delph was down with injuries, whom did you play at left back? A Zinchenko. So I'm actually very confident that we could do it if it with Wilson as brand and Cancelo. But the only thing is, we have to get Cucurella then in the January transfer window. That has to be done if we go with this plan. So it's almost on a knife edge, literally, if you don't sign Cucurella. JSK says, hey JSK, how are you? JSK says Cucurella is desperate to join City. He was not even included in the preseason, Fabrizio. You remember JSK, the same thing with Mahrez happened and Leicester didn't sell him for half a season. So that is possible because the power is actually in Brighton's hands. Cucurella has a 5-year contract left. So I mean the difference in the fee is just 15 million pounds, right? I expect the fee to be around 40-45 million pounds. I don't think we'll go till 45. The next incoming bid is expected to be between uh, the next bid is expected to be at 40 million pounds. So, 40, 50, 10 million pounds. I think they'll meet halfway at 45 million pounds. That is the realistic situation which can happen. JSS official, Mark Cucurella is not included in Brighton squad versus Brentford in a preseason friendly. The player wants to join Man City this summer. The dream is to work with Pep Guardiola. Wow, oh, is this the latest news? I didn't pick it up actually. That is interesting. Again, the player is, I think again it's just the asking price again, 40-45 million pounds. But strange things have happened in this transfer window. But again, that is the thing. I know I'm just repeating myself here, but that is the thing. The player is, we have seen this so many times. The player is unhappy. He wants to move to another club, but the club is reluctant to sell him if their asking price is not met. So generally, what happens in these situations is the transfer gets delayed till a January transfer window or something like that, like it happened with Mahrez and things like that. My concern is if that happens, are we ready to wait? Are we ready to wait and do with a Wilson Esperant and Cancelo? That really is a point now, because there's no point in going for a Sosa and all. See, another thing is Sosa will come from a Bundesliga, right? A foreign league, which the power of the Premier League is different. The power, physicality, especially if you're a fullback in a Pep system. A lot of things, guys, a lot of things are actually make me think that Cucurella is a perfect signing for us in the Premier League, in Pep system. La Masia, almost plays in the midfield, cuts in inverted fullback. The price is not too much. I mean, when have we looked at a player and thought that, wow, he has all the qualities that a Pep Guardiola wants, along with being from the Premier League? Haaland himself doesn't have all those qualities from a foreign league. That's a different thing. Alvarez from a foreign league. Kevin De Bruyne himself came from a foreign league. So, I mean, it's very rare that you find a player satisfying all of the qualities. So, I'll be stunned if we don't get in this summer, actually. Jay says Van Dijk transfer was like that, which was finalized in January. Exactly right, Jays. That time I do remember actually on New Year's Day or on Christmas Day, I think they even gave Van Dijk Man City shirts and all as a Santa Claus present, and they joked with him and all. I thought we were getting him. We were getting Van Dijk, but uh, that didn't happen. But actually, it's fine looking back, because if we had got Van Dijk, maybe the league would not have been as exciting as it is now. I mean, it didn't make a difference to us in the Premier League not getting Van Dijk that time, because we won all of the leagues except one. So the Premier League I thought would have been a bit boring if we got Van Dijk then. Gaurav says, do a preview video on City versus Liverpool Community Shield. Yes, Gaurav, I'll do that. The match is on Saturday, right? So we'll have a preview on Friday. JSK says Tixiki is being too stubborn. He's acting like we are broke. Even Barcelona, with billions of debt, are spending recklessly. I mean, if only Tixiki was interested in this transfer, I would be worried, JSK. Because if you look at the track record before Pep Guardiola came and Tixiki was almost acting on his own, look at the people who Tixiki has brought on. Wilfried Bony, Fernando, you remember that Brazilian midfielder Fernando, Eliquim Mangala. I mean, most of Tixiki's signing, his track record is pretty bad until Pep came. After Pep came, his track record is good. People say that generally Pep's decisions are weighed highly in the transfer this thing, and Tixiki goes and executes what Pep says. So I would be worried if it was just Tixiki here, but Pep Guardiola seemed to want the player. He desperately wants the player. So I don't know why Tixiki is waiting this much. You're right. Barcelona, which I mean, we have a net spend positive window, and we are still doing like this. I think it's just about the values. The stubbornness is all about the values of we will not overpay for a player. It's just that one thing, I think. Jay says it's not about stubbornness, it's about building a reputation that a transfer occurs on City system. Exactly, Jay. It's about the values on which we operate in a transfer window. Like it happened with Laporte as well, I think, right? The first time we tried to get him. It happened with Harry Maguire, it happened with Fred, it happened with I think even Alexis Sanchez, Jorginho. I mean now we can ask the question that is it right sticking to this stubbornness? I mean hindsight is very easy. You can just look at hindsight and say, oh, it is wrong. But if you see what happened in the previous transfers, sticking to this value has actually help us build the foundations of this club. Just imagine, guys, we didn't stick to this value of not overpaying for players. What would our team be made up of? Fred, Jorginho, Harry Maguire, Alexis Sanchez. I think we would just have been half the team that we are now. So, I mean, we might regret not signing one player by sticking to this values of not overpaying and building a reputation, but it has served us well in the previous time. So I can't go too hard about it as well. Jay says Van Dijk also doesn't have the age to last 10 years. Exactly. It's almost like a boon, that we didn't get Van Dijk, because then we got Ruben Diaz, who people think he's old due to the way he's defending and his maturity, but Diaz is just 23, so we'll easily get another 8 9 years from him. Gaurav says, who will be your unsung hero and best player this season for City? This season, Alvarez, Gaurav. This season, for me, it's Alvarez. I've always liked the guy, the way he finishes, his pressing, his movement, everything. He is the most underrated player, I would believe, in the Premier League. At least there's no talk of him. There's talk of him in our fan community, but outside, there's no talk of him. The Premier League is all talking about Haaland, De Bruyne, Grealish, Haaland partnership. How will Cole Palmer fit in? Ford and coming breakthrough season. No talk of Julian Alvarez, and it'll stun many people. For me, it's Julian Alvarez. Garo says your 11 versus Liverpool this Sunday. I mean, my 11 would be Wilson as brand at left back. I would start MBT at centre back. Ruben D. I think it would be let me just think. It would be Wilson S. Brand, MBT, Ruben Diaz, and Kyle Walker. Just for the pace, I'll bring in Kyle Walker, and the midfield would be the same that we played in the two preseason matches. It would be Rodri, Bernardo Silva, and De Bruyne, and the front three would be. I mean, I would go with Foden maybe on the left wing. I know he doesn't have fitness, and Pep doesn't just like to start players there, but I would go Foden, Haaland, and Alvarez. So that would be my 11. And goalkeeper, I would start with Stefan Ortega, and it's not Ederson, because I presume that we have promised Stefan Ortega that he'll start in all of the cup games. So I'll start Stefan Ortega there. An interesting lineup, but two interesting names for me: Wilson Esbrand and MBT have to start, because this is as close as an experience you will give a youngster to one of the best teams in Europe against Liverpool. Because in a Premier League match, you can't maybe put in a Luka MBT against Liverpool, because winning and losing that match could decide your Premier League title destiny. So this Community Shield match will be important for Esperand and MBT. I would be stunned if Pep doesn't start Luka MBT in this match. JSK says only advantage Josh has over Cucurella is he has pace. He has really good pace. People say that, I mean, I didn't think he has that much pace, but then people say that he could even become the next Kyle Walker, if he just concentrates on his fitness and things like that. But then Cucurella, does he need pace actually? He doesn't, I think. He has pace, but it's almost, he has enough pace. He doesn't have over the board pace and all. I think Cucurella covers everything up with his positioning and stuff actually. He doesn't need pace. Jay says Van Dyke also doesn't have the age to last 10 years. We have done that. Vinay says 40 plus 5 add-ons must be enough for Cucurella. Other players linked will require time to adapt, and for Pep it's headache. Exactly, Jason. Exactly, Vinay. I think Pep really thinks that this is the year he can win the Champions League actually, and I think in the Premier League we will actually challenge for it till the last moment, even if we don't get Cucurella. But Cucurella is absolutely essential for the Champions League. The only reason is, see, when you go into that March, Aprilish sort of a months, you'll almost have a Premier League, Champions League, Premier League, FA Cup, Champions League. Every 2 days you have to play, and you can't just expect Walker and Cancelo and Wilson as brand to fill in. That is almost impossible. I think it is the one reason why we need Cucurella. That's why I'm like, okay, not now, but if it doesn't happen in the worst case scenario, if it doesn't happen now, just get him in the January transfer window. And yeah, you're right, Vinay. 40 plus 5 should be enough for Cucurella. Yes, mine would be Ortega, Walker, Diaz, Stones, Josh, Rodri, Bernardo Silva, KDB, Grealish, Haaland, Foden. And another other thing, JS, you actually mentioned that you will play both Foden and Grealish as your wingers, right? But don't you think two left-footed wingers? I think one of the problems we have seen in the preseason matches was, especially in the second match when Haaland was there, is Riyad Mahrez getting the ball, he almost had to shift it onto the right foot, and we have seen with the movement of Erling Haaland, Haaland really likes first time crosses, pick up the ball and cross. I think it's just to get that variety. I think I would like to have Alvarez on the right, and it's again a problem. I think how many right footed wingers do we have? No one actually. It's only Julian Alvarez. Other than Alvarez, there is no right-footed winger. JSS unsung hero will be Walker and best player Grealish, I guess. Hopefully, but for me it's Alvarez. I think Alvarez will have a huge impact. Vinay says, wanna see Grealish, Haaland, Alvarez front three at least once. Once again, Pep has the independence of choosing or rotating front line, so injury is less. Vinay, and other thing which will be important is I think a right footer in the front three. Otherwise, the front three could actually become more predictable. So I think Julian Alvarez will start more matches than people might think. What people are thinking generally that Alvarez will be more of a cup striker, cup sort of an attacker. But I think Pep starts Alvarez in most of his Premier League matches. And I think Alvarez could even lead our press actually, even when he's starting on the right, just like Jesus used to do. So I think I think there'll be more minutes for Alvarez. It will be a juggle between Ford and Grealish for minutes on that left hand side. So that will be interesting. JSS, I guess Stones should start as he hasn't played any pre-season. Maybe Stones will start, but I want MBT to start. The logical thing for Pep would be to start Laporte and Stones. Right footer, left footer, none of them has played Premier League, would be experienced. But I really want Luka MBT to start actually. Maybe Stones and an MBT. Because if Laporte starts, then MBT doesn't start, I think, because both are left footers. Vinay says Pep definitely won't play MBT versus Liverpool. Difficult to mark versus Salah side. You're right, Vinay, but without putting MBT into difficult situations, how will Pep know whether he's capable of handling that pressure? See, I think if Pep has to choose to play MBT in a game, I think it would be this because you're playing against a really good side and in a game whose result doesn't have as much of a bearing as a Premier League or a match or a Champions League match or even an FA Cup or a Carabao Cup tie. So I think the odds of if he does a mistake and if the result go well, the odds of something drastic happening is actually much less than starting MBT in a Premier League match. The stakes are not as much as they are in the Premier League, for example. So I think Pep will start MBT and Josh Wilson Esperant. That's what I think. JSK says Cucurella is also from La Masia. He won't need much time to adapt to the Pep system. And another added advantage is Graham Potter also plays a similar style to Pep. So I mean it's almost like a perfect Pep Guardiola player. If Pep builds a player in a laboratory, then it will be Cucurella, education from La Masia. If Pep had to, sketch football players' childhood right from the start to how he comes to a league, how he adapts to the league, and then how he comes to a big Premier League team, it will be the journey of Cucurella. So I think Cucurella would be perfect in many aspects. Yes, I guess Foden is very dynamic, so playing him as an inverted winger will be pretty explosive like Salah. Yes, that's a very important point actually because Foden also loves to cut in, right? Even when he's playing on the left hand side, the way he, dribbling in for a left footer from the left hand side is actually a bit difficult, but the way Foden does it is really good because you have to stand up the defender and you have to cut inside. But on the right, I think Foden will have a much higher impact than Sterling. See, when did Sterling's game improve? When Sterling came to City under Pellegrini, right? That first season under Pellegrini, he was just playing on the left hand side. What Sterling was doing is he was just trying to cut inside dribble. But then Pep really liberated Sterling by telling Sterling, you run. You run at people, that's it. You run at people and try to get inside. I think if Pep says the same thing to Foden, play him on the right hand side and tell Foden to just run at people with his pace and just cut inside onto his favored foot from the right. That would be devastating actually. And Foden has Alvarez and Foden. Alvarez on the left, for example, and Foden on the right. Inverted wingers. That would just be wonderful with the Cucurella and Cancelo providing width. I mean, looking at the profile of players that City are getting in, I think inverted wingers would be an option. Inverted wingers would actually be an option this season. I think. Vinay says Alvarez definitely not a second fiddle. He is immense and must start. And the finishing of Alvarez is also immense. Vinay, the finishing of Alvarez is just. And he has a strong shot as well. Even in the preseason, he showed the ball just missed the goal by a whisker. Alvarez, I think Alvarez is a complete Pep player. So if we get Cucurella, we are suddenly getting a Cucurella and an Alvarez who, in their first season, are complete Pep players. I think this could also show a shift in the kind of transfer policy that now Pep is almost getting in players who are who are almost plug and play type, who are almost ready to start in a system from the outset. Rather than in the past, Pep would bring players, Pep would train them for a year, and then they would be ready to start. I think this is sure shift in the transfer policy as well. JSK says, I think we should try 4-3-2-2. Let's play with two strikers. Two strikers is interesting. Actually, more than 4-3-2-2. I think 4-4-1-1 would actually be the best system, I think, based on how Alvarez played in the preseason, particularly. He was dropping off. He wants to drop off deep into the midfield, collect the ball, that sort of a thing, almost a false nine-ish sort of a thing, right? I think a 4-4-1-1 would mean Haaland up front and Alvarez doing that work. Alvarez. I mean, a River Plate fan a couple of months ago told that Alvarez is almost like a Thomas Muller, and I think playing that 4-4-1-1 would give Alvarez that freedom. But again, you're not Kevin De Bruyne. When Kevin De Bruyne is excellent in that 4-4-1-1 system, so I think there are a lot of pros and cons if you want to play that 4-4-1-1 system. Yes, on right, Josh will maintain width and Willis will play as an inverted winger. And on left, Foden will play as an inverted winger and Silva maintaining the width. I think the problem with that is actually you're right, Jace. Pep could do that as well. Pep could do that as well. But the only problem is Willis is settling into the team. Playing on that left hand side. So I mean, it remains to be seen how it affects Grealish sort of a play by playing Grealish as in inverted winger. So we'll have to see. Vinay says, can we see a two pivot versus Liverpool FC? I don't think Pep goes with a two pivot. Pep just plays Bernardo Silva as that CM who is almost like floating, between a double pivot and coming far ahead. So it's almost like that is as close to a double pivot as you can see. But yeah, playing that's also correct. Actually, it just missed my mind. Even Grealish is a right footer, right? So playing Grealish on the left and that would also be interesting. Actually, that would be natural. Grealish on the left and Foden on the right. That would be impressive. That would be interesting. But the only con with that is I know Grealish is like he has improved in the preseason and stuff, but playing Grealish on the left, I mean, he sometimes tends to slow down play, and if you play an Alvarez on the left, it's almost like Alvarez is more direct on the left, so that would be a big advantage of playing Alvarez on the left over Grealish. Remains to be seen how Pep goes on that. Jay says, I don't think so. Silva is another beast against Liverpool. Exactly. I mean, you don't need a double pivot against Liverpool. Against Liverpool because Bernardo Silva, he already does that job. His work rate is like insane. So I don't think we need to play a double pivot against Liverpool. And also playing a double pivot hasn't always worked out well, right? Because there were previous instances where we played both Dino and Rodri as a double pivot, and it just didn't work out. We just tend to go too defensive. JS says if we have to play a second striker, there is no one better than KDB in that position in City. Exactly, KDB, and after KDB, it's actually close between KDB and Julian Alvarez actually. And you're right, with the goal scoring from KDB is in this left-footed strike, especially against Club America and all KDB is in. But what is the position you will find in the squad for Julian Alvarez? That's another question. What position would you play Julian Alvarez in? considering it's a Champions League knockout match or a big match against Liverpool, which position would you play Alvarez in? I think the only position that is available is, I think, on the right wing, particularly on the right wing. That's the only thing that is there for Julian Alvarez. But another question is, can we get the best qualities of Julian Alvarez playing him on that right wing position? The answer is maybe no. The answer is maybe no. But anyway, playing on that right wing position, we have seen Gabriel Jesus, drift inside a lot of times for Pep and stuff like that. Mahrez, we see Mahrez drifting inside. So it will be interesting to see how that dynamic will work with Julian Alvarez. Jay says I messed up. It was left for Grealish and right for Foden. Exactly, Jesse. Even I got a bit confused, and then I like sort of started thinking, and yeah, exactly. I understood what you meant. You meant inverted wingers, right? I actually understood. Vinay says KDB's passing will be important versus Liverpool as versus Haaland. We expect more. KDB. I mean, the interesting thing with Haaland would be how he bends his runs around Van Dijk and stuff like that. So you know what Haaland is known for. His finishing, his pace, his physicality, everyone knows that. But Haaland is known for bending his runs, from inside to the outside and outside to the inside. Look at how Haaland demolished the Bayern offside trap. I think 3-4 times he did that in that pre-season friendly. And Liverpool play highline. Man, I just can't wait to see that Liverpool game actually, to see that Liverpool City game. It's just gonna be so exciting, especially highline, Haaland making those runs. Will Liverpool go with Haaland? If they go with Haaland, who will mark Kevin De Bruyne? Will be very interesting. The spaces which how does Grealish move? What spaces Grealish will occupy? Just can't wait for that match. Yes, but Grealish Haaland link up is very scary as Alvarez might not start, and also if Pep wanted to play him as a winger, he would have tried him at wing. We just don't know, JS, what is working out in Pep's mind. But you're right, Grealish, whenever you pair Grealish up with a natural striker, could be Kane, could be Haaland. Yeah, Grealish always is lethal. The thing is, Grealish always puts those first time balls in. So the defense is not ready, like you saw against Bayern Munich, for example, first time ball in. So my concern is we need someone to put those first time balls in from the left as well, and that is one reason why I want to play Alvarez. A right footer, and he could just put those balls in first time from the right hand side as well. So that is something which I'm concerned about, because with Mahrez I've seen that he takes his time to chop in and the defense readjusts. That's one of my concerns actually, because Haaland, is lethal from those first time balls. His movement is just like a ghost, he just goes through. Suman says Champions League team depends on chemistry that is working in Premier League. Exactly, Suman. Pep really needs to figure out what is his best 11, what works, especially because in the Champions League knockout matches is actually difficult to, you can't chop and change as much. So I think we can experiment a bit against all of these smaller teams in the Premier League, especially with, because the quality will not differ. So you can experiment with Alvarez on the right, or Foden on the left, and Foden on the right, and all of these things. But yeah, like Suman says, it's important to get that chemistry going before the Champions League knockout matches. JSK says, "Who knows? Alvarez might end up playing a fullback. You never can predict. Just ask Jesus Navas, and he tells you that, and he tell you that Jesus Navas is now almost one of the best fullbacks in the Spanish division. He played a Europa League final against United and defeated them, I think, with Sevilla or whatever team, I don't remember. So you, you never know what Pep can do with you." Jessica says, or I think Foden should go back to his natural position, Cam, so that Pedri, being the next Iniesta type, can finally come to an end. But there's no space, JSK, in that Cam position. That is a big problem actually, because Nakati is vying for that position. You have Gundogan there. KDB plays there. So literally, I mean, Grealish prefers playing in that midfield role. I mean, the competition for that midfield role is just too much. I don't think a midfield position is available right now. It's on the wings, which Foden has to try, be it left or right. Vinay says, I was hyper frustrated when Sterling or Jesus made those line breaking runs and no result. Now that Haaland can run and finish, Grealish KDB long balls from midfield is enough. How many times have we been frustrated, Vinay? I mean, forget about all those line breaking runs. Open goals. There is no bigger frustration than open goals. I mean, just imagine a scenario where Sterling was on the end of that Haaland goal against Bayern. In the preseason match, what would have happened? The ball would have gone out. Literally, when Haaland scored that goal, I was thinking about, oh, what if Sterling would have been at the end of that? Or a Jesus also would have been at the end of that. So, I mean, Sterling did not know finishing, but with Jesus, I actually think that it's also due to Jesus is someone, I think that he likes getting a lot of minutes. So with the pressure of if you don't perform even a little bit, Pep just puts you out on the bench. Competition. I think Jesus didn't thrive in that pressure, and that thing showed in his finishing. I think that's the case with Jesus actually. JSS last year we were hindered due to injuries in the back end of the season, and so if we had players fit, especially Walker last season, we would have never conceded goals against Real Madrid in the Real Madrid in the UCL. Exactly, the lack of fullbacks. Vinicius, I mean, you've seen in the second leg, right? For the first half of the season, I'm sorry, in the first half of the match, second leg, Vinicius was just pocketed by Kyle Walker, and then after that, when Kyle Walker went off, I think Vinicius, he became active again. So you're right, that was the single most point why we lost to Real Madrid on that night. I mean, it still annoys me. It still frustrates me. How did we lose that leg? But then lack of fullbacks. That's the only thing. That's the only thing. Lack of fullbacks. JS says, will you create an FPL league? Maybe not this season, JS, but I'll actually look into it. I'll actually look into it. JSK says this poor finishing has already affected Mahrez. Put into it has affected everyone. JSK. It I mean, even Grealish has forgotten how to finish. For a time, even we have seen, KDB also loses finishing touch a little bit. So, I just think in the training, when you train with those mediocre sort of finishers, it's almost like you lose your goal scoring touch because, competition, especially in training, it really brings the better out of you. And so I really think our finishing will improve a lot this season. I mean, Haaland, I'm sure, will get more than 30 goals this season. Vinay says Pep will play Walker carefully. He's so important for our backline being over 30. The pace of Walker is important, Vinay, because there are some games where without that pace of Walker, you literally can't survive in the game. I mean, you could talk about positional sense, you could talk about occupying the right positions at the right times, but how do you defend against Vinicius, for example, without pace? You can defend against a Salah without pace. That is fine because positioning is important there. But there are some players who have extraordinary pace and positioning won't help. You either just stay back or if you come forward, you need to have that recovery pace. So Pep, I mean, just looking at what happened last season, I think just looking at that one thing, Pep should tell Tixiki Pakistan that look at the highlights of Real Madrid and go and get me Cucurella if you don't want that to happen again this season. That is the only one shot that Pep can show to Tixiki Pakistan. JSK says, I personally feel Stefan Ortega should start all the UCL games. Exactly, JSK. Even my feeling is that thing that Stefan Ortega should start all the UCL games. And I suspect that Ortega has been brought into the team for these cup competitions. I mean, if you carefully analyze the situation of how Ortega came to us, right? He's a was a free agent. He had good financial offers from other clubs. Other clubs offered him more salary and stuff. Other clubs offered him that he's a starter, he'll be the first choice goalkeeper for them. So why would a player who has been offered us uh, a better financial package, who has been offered a consistent and assured starting berth, why would he choose to come to a team where he's not a consistent starter, where he's a second fiddle? That is not the case. I think Pep is gonna replicate that Claudio Bravo and Ter Stegen thing when Enrique was there at Barcelona. I think so. I think Edison will be our Premier League goalkeeper and Ortega will be our cup goalkeeper, because Pep has looked at how we conceded against Liverpool. Sorry, against Madrid in the Champions League. Pep has looked at how Courtois saved Real Madrid and won them the Champions League. Both these two scenarios combined, and Pep is thinking, I need a really good shot stopper. It doesn't matter if his passing is not as accurate as Edison, because I think Pep has realized that passing and all, I mean, it is important, but then shot stopping is the crucial thing in a Champions League match. See, how do you win the Champions League? Two things have to be on your in your favor if you have to win the Champions League. Doesn't matter if you dominate the entire match or not, but to win a Champions League, if even if you get a low quality strike, you have to bury it. One strike, one chance all game, you have to bury it. And the second thing is, you have to make some exceptional saves like Courtois did, tipping the finish from Grealish around the bar, tipping that Sadio Mane finish around the bar. So these two things. So you need to have a sharp striker and you need to have an extraordinary sharp goalkeeper who's good at shot stopping. Pep has looked at both of these things and he's told his scouts, look for someone who has extraordinary shot stopping ability and who's good on the ball. Might not be Ederson's level, but good on the ball. Ortega is the answer. I expect Ortega to start all the UCL games. Jess says Rico Lewis is very young. He's just 17, I think, right, Jess? But I was just delighted by the way he dribbled through almost 3-4 of those of the Bayan players, right? Rico Lewis was just wonderful that day. But he's young, and I think if groomed well, Rico Lewis could actually be a good successor to Walker. And just talking about Rico Lewis and the right back, Jan Couto. Remember, guys, we were speaking about Jan Couto, I think a month back or something. And the latest news about Jan Couto is Jan Couto has agreed to join Girona on loan until 2023. I mean, again, another player. I actually thought that Jan Couto would have been better off, coming back to City, learning under Pep, competing for the first team spot. I don't know. The news from Jan Couto's side was he wanted to leave the entire City football group for better minutes. So finally, he's gone on to loan Girona, and I don't think that he will ever come back to City. But that is an interesting thing. But he's a very very talented player, and I had high hopes for him this season, but just didn't work out. Vinay says, do height affects fullbacks? Rico Lewis is good, but when I see defense players coming to City, first check if they're 6 feet. Fullbacks, I don't actually think height affects fullbacks, Vinay. And actually, it's a myth that height affects centre backs as well, because the only centre back to win a Ballon d'Or in the entire football history is Fabio Cannavaro, and Cannavaro was what, 5'9". So I mean, 5'9" is nothing, right? 5'9" is almost Gabriel Jesus is almost that height, 5'9". So I don't think height affects centre backs. For full backs, it is not at all an issue, I think. Jesus, we should not instantly hype Ortega as if he's very good. He would have been in a top club before, as he's 29 already. The interesting thing about Ortega JS is his shot stopping. My God, the way he uses his feet. I don't know. I mean, it's not hype, but it's sort of an interest that has come from City fans, that because we have not seen that sort of a shot stopping for a while, right? Ederson is good at shot stopping, but is not at a very good level. So suddenly you see a keeper who's stopping shots with his feet, using his feet to stop one-on-ones, who's smothering one-on-ones. It's just very exciting. That's the thing why we are excited about Ortega. Vinay says, I no longer give importance to distribution. Short stopping is more crucial now. People will choose Allison over Ederson. Distribution is actually important, Vinay. Distribution is important when you really need to attack. You need goals. You need to break a low block down and things like that. But in knockout competitions, see, in knockout competitions, I think you need shot stopping more than distribution. It's almost like I think Pep has realized two different competitions, two different ways I think he needs to approach them. I would not be surprised if the approach to the Champions League is a little bit more different from Pep this season, with him maybe playing a Calvin Phillips and a Rodri there in the midfield, for example. The approach I think will be different because if you approach a Champions League knockout games like a Premier League one, I think you're gonna suffer because in a Premier League, even if you lose 2-3 matches, if you're consistent, see City in a Premier League, we go through those phases where we lose 2-3 matches, right? But then we put on a run where we win 20 matches, 21 matches, whatever it is, and we win the Premier League. But in a Champions League, you play well for 180 minutes, 1 minute, and you can go out. It is literally for that 1 minute that you play the entire 180 minutes sometimes, and that is why I think Pep has realized that the finer details. There are some. I think Pep is a control freak. You all will agree that Pep is a control freak. He likes to absolutely get all the details right. But after that Madrid match, what Pep has realized is you can't control things in Champions League knockout games, especially at the end. The crowd can go, crazy. The attacking team, if it's the home team, it can just, just outpace you out of the match, even though they're on the back foot. So Pep has realized that you can't control things in the Champions League knockout match. So that's why I think that is where Ortega comes into the equation. Jay says passing is more important for Pep than shot stopping, and we should not discard Ederson as his last season was pretty disappointing. But before that, he was great, so he will have a bounce back. Ederson for me is the best. I mean, if you include both shot stopping and distribution, Ederson is the best in the world, no doubt. But the only thing is, like, I feel that the profile of players needed to win a Champions League is not Ederson. It's someone more in the profile of an Ortega. That is what I actually think. Sergio Aguero is here. He says, "Hi guys, hey Sergio." Jay says also City didn't find a proper striker which would have challenged him and improved him exactly, and all the finishing of Jesus and Sterling was also mediocre, right? So Ederson would not have had a good shot stopping experience in the training field as well. Valid point. Now with him facing shots from Haaland, facing shots from Alvarez, facing competition from Ortega, should improve Ederson. GSK says Mendy played in the second division till French league before he came to Chelsea and won the UCL. Van der Sar played in Fulham before coming to United. So playing in big club has nothing to do with goalkeeping ability. Exactly. I mean, sometimes there are those hidden gems Riyad Mahrez is an example, right? Before coming to Leicester, he was in lower French league. Yeah, so I think we can't discard Ederson just like that. He's had a fantastic season. He hasn't done much wrong, but it's just for those little moments, I think, which maybe I think Ortega, those inches, that fingertips. Real Madrid literally won the Champions League with those fingertips. In all of the knockout matches, Courtois made fingertip saves. So and they won. So I think Pep is looking at this and maybe he thinks he needs those fingertip save moments, which maybe there are better keepers than Ederson at doing that. That is the thinking, I think. Jessica says Joe Hart was exceptional at shot stopping too. Bad Pep didn't give him a chance. And also JSK Pep hasn't faced these things before coming to City, right? Because at Barca he had a keeper who was good with the feet, and at Bayern he had a keeper who was good with the feet and shot stopping. At Barca, same Valdez was good at shot stopping and all. So when he came to City, he thought that he needed that profile of a goalkeeper, and bye bye to Joe Hart. But then he realized after the first year what kind of a goalkeeper he needs. what Bravo didn't work out, Ederson. And now with this Madrid defeat, he has understood what profile of a goalkeeper he needs for the Champions League and the cup competitions. Vinay says confidence while speaking made Ortega exciting, like we did for Diaz. Exactly, Vinay. Ortega. I mean, the confidence of Ortega is actually infectious as well. The confidence of him coming to a new league and in the preseason as well, the way he was commanding the defense. It's actually a refreshment and surely an improvement from Stefan. JSS, if he has to replace Ederson first, Ederson needs to be injured as he won't start him in Premier League and UCL on basis of his performance against a lower division team. That is right, JS. Ederson will be the first team goalkeeper, but I think in the group stage matches, Pep might start Ortega because again it doesn't seem logical for me unless there have been assurances made to Ortega because I mean just forgetting about whether Pep will start Ortega or not. I mean, why did Ortega come to City? That is the question which bugs me because Pep surely made some assurances because you have a better financial offer elsewhere. You're 29. You literally want to be first choice goalkeeper, right? Leaving those two assurances, why would you come to City knowing that Ederson is in the top two, top three goalkeepers in the world? Displacing him at 29 of your age would not be easy. Why did Ortega come to City? That is the question that bugs me. And I really, the only answer to that is Pep has promised him minutes in the Champions League. Because Ortega at 29 would not come here for just FA Cup and Carabao Cup, with especially a lot of top clubs. Even Bayern was looking at Ortega actually as a replacement to Manuel Neuer. So that is the interesting bit here for me. Why did Ortega choose to come to us? Vinay says just can't wait for Haaland versus Liverpool FC. Exactly, Vinay can't wait for that match. Highline versus Highline. It's just going to be a blockbuster match. Yes, because Ortega's shot stopping is close to Hart. I think it's even better than Joe Hart. I think. But then we'll have to see how he performs in the Premier League. Vinay says actually Real Madrid is nothing without Benzema. Lost both matches versus Barcelona in recent class and Araujo outpaced Rudiger. And Rudiger was something which we actually talked on this channel as well, right, Vinay, a few days back, telling that Rudiger in a one-on-one system is, in a back four system is almost actually a bit useless. He has too many mistakes in him. And it's no surprise seeing his situation against Barca. JS says no matter how good Ortega is at shot stopping, but if he isn't good at ball playing, he won't start big matches as we might concede goals like those against Liverpool semi-final. Exactly, the FA Cup one. I mean, it still hurts me. How did we? I mean, literally those mistakes by Stefan would have gifted Liverpool the quadruple. You know, that time we were tensed. I was so tensed not because we lost the match. I was unhappy we lost the match, but because we were no longer there to stop Liverpool to win the quadruple, okay, in the Premier League, and that's it. So that was a bit of a tense situation for me. Thankfully, Liverpool didn't win the quadruple last season. But you're right, the ball playing ability of Ortega will be tested. In the preseason, he actually seemed fine. Playing out from the back. But then you're right, Club America didn't trust him much. So it was not the ideal test for him. But surely I think Pep would have had a decent look at him in training, and also they would have scouted him very much, right? Before signing him, actually, whether he's good with his feet or not. But see, challenging Ederson with the feet is impossible. It's out of this galaxy. It's very rare that a goalkeeper comes and he challenges Ederson in terms of pure distribution and takes over that spot. That is impossible. But if he is good enough to, maybe not having the accuracy of Ederson, but if he's just good enough to pass out from the back and is good at shot stopping, I think that profile would be sufficient to win you the Champions League, I think. Because Courtois, I know they play a different system at Madrid and all, but I think from Ortega, it's not high level, but if he has decent ball playing ability from the back, I do think that will be enough. JSK says Pep will start Ortega in all knockout games like Luis Enrique did with Ter Stegen and Bravo in 2015. That is my feeling, JSK. Even I feel like that, but we literally do not know what Pap is actually thinking. So, I mean, it is a valid argument. Like JS was saying that Ederson will start the CL matches because Ortega still hasn't proven himself, at least in front of us, that he can pass out from the back against high pressing teams. That is also a valid point. But then what happened in the past in the Champions League is also a valid point, shot stopping ability. So will be interesting to see how Pep looks at this. What perspective does Pep have on this? Vinay says, yeah, Ortega to City came from nowhere, something which fans didn't expect as we signed young goalkeepers exactly. And other thing, we sign young goalkeepers and groom them, but Ortega, see another thing pointing in that direction that Pep has to start Ortega in the UCL matches, right? You bring two goalkeepers who are almost of the same age, right? Ederson 28, Ortega 29, experienced goalkeeper. Bundesliga is known for its goalkeeping talent. Came to City, I mean, 29. So this all, it points towards the fact that Bravo Ter Stegen situation might actually happen. So that's again an important, interesting point that we generally sign young goalkeepers, but not with Ortega. Just as long balls of Ederson is also crucial. I actually think that Ortega can play those long balls because he has shown it once or twice against Club America, right? Those chipped balls over to Walker, one chipped ball over to the left back position, and an attack starts. I know it's just Club America, they were not pressing us as intensely, but the accuracy of those balls was actually good. Nowhere near Ederson, but it's actually better than Allison, to be surprising. His accuracy of playing out from the back is better than Allison, Ortega's accuracy. So that is another interesting thing for me. JSK says, why are people assuming Ortega is poor at ball distribution? I mean, people are not assuming Ortega is poor at ball distribution, but I think we have seen Ederson so much over the last few seasons that whenever ball playing goalkeeper comes, we are always comparing him to the standard of Ederson. And if you compare him to the standard of Ederson, it will seem poor because the general nervous here is among a fan community that Ortega is here to displace Ederson. But then I feel a little bit differently that Ortega is here to complement Ederson in terms of one will play in the Champions League knockouts and other in the Premier League. I think they will complement each other. That is the feeling. Then oust each other from the team. Vinay says sweeping is also an ability for Ortega to figure out. Yes, he did a mistake, right, for that first goal against Club America. He sort of came a little bit and then he went back, and Ake was sort of caught in no man's land. He has to figure that out. JSK says, I was hoping Mike from AC Milan would come. Never heard of him, JSK. Mike from AC Milan. Is he a goalkeeper as well? JS says, we didn't lose in UCL due to any Ederson errors. It was the error of our defenders that we lost goals. JS, that second leg first goal, right? When Benzema hits a pass along the ground to Rodrigo, and Rodrigo puts it into an open goal almost, right? So the ball was put a little bit close to Ederson. Many people say that Ederson should have been fast off the line and he should have just smothered it. At least Ederson should have made himself a little big. Those sort of things, those sort of things for me are crucial. That one thing I think is enough to go out of the Champions League or or go to the next round. So I think it is these little mistakes that Pep wants to address. That is the thing. JSK says, hey, why don't City go for Lucas Hernandez? Is the brother for left back position. I heard is great in left back. We were linked to Lucas Hernandez, JSK. I think January in January last season we were linked to Lucas Hernandez. And one of the things with Lucas Hernandez is he's not pacey enough. He's not pacey enough. I'm sorry, not pacey enough. He's not good enough to play in this Pep Guardiola system. Like he's a traditional fullback. He just goes down and up the flank. So that was the reason why we didn't go for it. There was also another player linked last season, Abner Vinicius. Uh, Pep was, rumors were that City were tracking him a lot, but the same problem with Abner Vinicius again. He's a traditional fullback who goes up and down the flanks. He's not like your Cucurellas, which is a particular profile that Pep wants. Vinay says, I'm just happy that one season wonder Leo and Flop, Felix and Party all night. Nay didn't come. And Vinay, by the way, Neymar, did you all see all of those trolls on Neymar? It seems he dived in a preseason friendly. And I mean, everyone on Twitter was just making memes on him. I mean, why would you dive in a preseason friendly? I don't understand Neymar, but yeah, I'm very relieved that Neymar didn't come. Yes, yes, he signed new deal with AC Milan, Rafael, right? We inquired about him, I think, or we were linked to him, and the price actually, AC Milan sporting director came out and said at the start of this season that Rafael is not for sale, and internal sources said that Rafael's price was around 110 million pounds or something like that. And City were never gonna pay 110 million pounds for a winger, right? Never. And also that to a winger coming from an Italian league, which is a little bit kind of a slow when compared to the Premier League. 110 million pounds for a winger from that league is always a risk. I know Sanchez came from that league, but it's always a risk. JSS Ortega won't start in UCL and Premier League, but it will push Ederson to improve. Ederson will surely improve, but what you're saying is right, JSK, but logic somewhere it defies me that at 29, why would you come unless you're not given assurances to start in the Premier League? I mean, start in the UCL. Because, okay, if you're a player, it's still understandable. You have to work under Pep and learn, right? But the goalkeepers, they train under a different coach. Okay, Pep gives them inputs, but Xavi Mankesdor trains them. So that is one. I mean, what you're saying, Jace, has logic that Ederson can't just be dropped like that. He's playing as a number one for so many years. But at 29, why would you come to this league? I mean, without assurances of a start, even that. I mean, these two things don't defy logic for me. Unable to find an answer actually. We'll only find out when Pep says something about it. A journalist asks him a question in a press conference, or maybe when the Champions League starts. Jay says you can't save every goal. To be honest, understand that, Jay, you can't save every goal, but that thing actually seemed to me that it was savable. I know you can't save every goal, but plucking out saves from nowhere. Saving goals that literally have a very low save percentage. I think that is a factor in you winning the Champions League. That is a factor in you winning knockout competitions. It always was. I mean, you look at all of the Champions League finals in the last 20 years, and almost every one of them has a good goal scoring performance that has kept a team which was a goal down or something in the competition, in the tie, and then they go on and win it. So I think another thing is, if you pull off saves which are almost unsavable, it almost gives the momentum to your team. It demoralizes the opposition, sits down their fans. It suddenly puts you on the front foot. You're like, the goalkeeper has saved that. Wow, let us now go forward. Let us now destroy the opposition. I think the psychological effect, the morale is also a factor there. JSK says, yeah, Mike Maignan, the goalkeeper of Milan, he carried Milan to Scudetto. That is interesting, JSK. I'll definitely have a look at him. Haven't heard of him before. JSS, Theo Hernandez. Yeah, you're right, JSS. Theo Hernandez. Lucas Hernandez is the centre back, right, who plays there. It's Theo Hernandez. You're right, actually. JSK says, I'm talking about Lucas' brother. I don't know his name. Yeah. JSK, you told Lucas' brother, but I forgot to read the thing brother, and I thought it was Lucas Hernandez. My mistake. It was Theo Hernandez, who is the left back actually. JS says Theo Hernandez is one of the best left back in his position, and he has signed new deal. I was referring him above. Yes, Theo Hernandez. And the only thing we didn't get Theo Hernandez was the same thing. He wasn't a Pep Guardiola sort of a fullback. That's the only thing. I mean, people talk about Alfonso Davis. having pace, for example. But even if he was available, I don't think we take Alfonso Davis. Not Pep is not that kind of a manager to like those pacey fullbacks up and down. He likes Cucurella sort of a player. So we were linked with Theo Hernandez, we were linked with Abner Vinicius, similar profile of a players, but Pep didn't want them apparently. JS says the reason why he will come to City is due to the fact that we win a lot of trophies, and at his age he might not be that hungry to play every game, but hungry to win trophies in his career. But taking a less financial package, that is also another interesting thing, right? Okay, winning trophies and all is fine, but I don't know, because because almost even Bayern was in for him. There were a lot of big clubs in for him from the Bundesliga and around Europe, and clubs who are also winning trophies in their respective leagues. I mean, big clubs were in for him. So it will only be clear when Pep really. It will only be clear when the UCL games start. It is then we will know who Pep will actually start. JSS Ederson was good against Atletico Madrid. Yes, he made a point blank save almost, right, in the dying minutes, 86th minute or something. A free kick comes in, right? Cancelo commits a foul just outside the box. I thought, oh, gone, they'll score, and Ederson almost makes a point blank save. You know, the thing with Ederson is he is a good shot stopper, but he tends to have some lapses in concentration in the shot stopping thing. It's not a bad thing. The thing he has those lapses in concentration is due to how cool he is in his distribution. You see, Ederson doesn't flinch in his distribution, right? Even when a fullback is pressure, even when a striker is pressurizing him. I somehow feel that he carries that attitude into shot stopping, and sometimes due to that he's a bit here and there in his positioning. It seems as if he's not up to the mark in his shot stopping and stuff like that. I think it is that sort of that thing why Ederson is just a little bit laggy in that shot stopping kind of a thing. I think reflexes are important, and it is due to this being that cool sort of a thing. Those reflexes also, they're not as fast as you see from other good shot stopping goalkeepers. CSK says, yep, you're right. I think after Madrid game, Pep has realized shot stopping is crucial in UCL. I think he will play the Enrique way in 2015. At the moment, a fan base is actually divided on this, because none of us are actually sure on who starts. But it whoever might start, Ederson or Ortega, I don't think it will make such a difference in terms of ball distribution in the UCL, especially because Pep will come up with a way, I think, especially in the UCL when Ortega plays, for example. Pep might use your John Stones to carry the ball forward much more than an Ortega chipping the ball over the infield. I think Pep will know that to play in a cert to play in his way. Passing out from the back, Ortega might not be able to do that, so he needs to make some compromises to his playing style in the UCL. That might be possible because, like JS was mentioning, it's impossible for us to replicate on the same playing style without Ederson. As with Ederson, he's a key part of our department. So I think if Pep plays Ortega, the playing style also will change a bit. He will adapt a bit. Maybe a Stones might be a carrier of the ball, or a Cancelo might carry the ball. So I think the playing style will actually differ a bit more. Gaurav says Angelino wasn't preferred by Pep. Even we were shortage of left back at that time. Gaurav, Pep actually gave Angelino quite a bit of chances actually in the Premier League. I think Angelino's fate was sealed in that Manchester derby, right? If you guys remember those, I think 2-3 seasons ago, Manchester derby. I think Rashford just tore Angelino apart, and that is when Pep actually realized that he is not defensively good enough for the Premier League. I think Angelino's strength is playing in a wing back system. With three at the back, Angelino is very, very good. We have seen at Leipzig. But in a back four, when you're all for yourself defending, I think Angelino is not good enough in that aspect. That is why Pep has let him go. JS City has more chance of winning UCL than any other club. Exactly, Jess. That's what even I would like to think so. But every season we are falling short. See, two factors why we are falling short: lack of finishing. Against Madrid, you can't blame that we just lost because of the defense, but due to a lack of finishing, also we lost the game. Just imagine a Haaland and Alvarez were playing in place of Jesus, Haaland was there. He would have finished. He would have gulped all of those things down, right? We would have won maybe. So I think only two things are needed to win the UCL. One is sharp shoot finishing, and the other thing is your goalkeeper should have reflexes. I mean, your goalkeeper should be good at shot stopping. I actually think you can win a UCL with even one of these two things because we have a great assist maker in De Bruyne, right? De Bruyne, Haaland, Grealish, Haaland, lot of assist makers. So I think we can win the UCL. You're right, actually, Edison, and then with someone like a Haaland up front, Grealish, De Bruyne, Mahrez supplying him, we can actually go far in the UCL. But that's the only thing. Pep feels that he can't control all the moments, and all the shabby goals Madrid scored against us. They should not be allowed to be scored. I mean, I'm still frustrated, thinking about those goals. Again, it brings me back to that Madrid match. Mendy crossed to Benzema for the first goal. That cross had an XG of 0.23. How the hell did we allow that to go in? I think it is those moments. Maybe Pep thinks Ortega can cut down those moments. Maybe. Jay says so. He would have been fine taking less money for winning the trophy. As for City, a trophy is a sure shot. Maybe Jays, maybe that I mean might be the case. But generally, if you think football careers are short, and we have seen players preferring more finances. Oscar is an example, going to China. I mean, his personal issue, we can't tell anything about that, but less money, you're not playing only for trophies, doesn't still seem convincing to me, doesn't still actually seem convincing to me that Ortega would have come for that. Gaurav says, but Laporte is better than John in terms of ball playing ability. In terms of passing, Laporte is better, Gaurav. But in terms of carrying the ball, in terms of sort of dribbling through, in terms of going into the midfield with the ball, I think John Stones is better than Laporte. And also in one-on-one situations, I always feel that John Stones is steadier than Laporte. Last 4 or 5 years. Maybe John Stones would have made one mistake or two mistakes in one-on-one situations. Laporte makes a couple every season in one-on-one situations. So I actually think that is. I mean, one-on-one situations is something that Laporte should actually work on. He has committed at least 2, 3 big errors in one-on-one situations this season itself. Crystal Palace comes to mind. JSK says if we lose another UCL with Ederson in goal, fans will ruin his life with their toxicity. He will end up same like Sterling. That's also a reason why Ortega should start. Exactly. I mean, there will be moments, crucial moments where you can tip the ball around the corner and stuff. I mean, personally, I think maybe an Ederson is a little bit more less adept at doing those things, pulling off unsavable saves. That is the reason why Alisson starts over Ederson, for example, for Brazil. It's not for ability, both are very close, but generally cup matches, Euros, World Cup, they tend to be knockout matches mostly right after the group stage. So Alisson is a better shot stopper than Ederson. So I think in knockout games, you need that sort of an ability. That's what I think of shot stopping. JSK says, and anyway, we are changing our gameplay with the arrival of Haaland and Alvarez and departure of Jesus and Sterling. But JSK, do you actually think the gameplay will change that much? It might change, but in the preseason, I didn't see any change to our gameplay actually. In fact, in preseason, it almost looked like we were playing a little bit of that. We were playing our old way itself. So I didn't notice any changes. I mean, again, that's another interesting thing to look forward to. How much will we adapt to Haaland and how much will Haaland adapt to us? But one of the reasons why Pep makes generational talents even more better. Pep really makes generational talents break their ceiling, like Messi, for example, like Haaland. Now, one of the reasons is Pep grooms them to adapt to his system, then him adapt into their system. So when you challenge a player, a generational talent, to adapt to your system, it really means that he has to work hard, he has to understand different aspects of the game. So I do think that is one of the reasons why Pep is really good in dealing with generational talents. He's not afraid of asking them to adapt to his system than the other way around, which most people do. JS cases, and the most important thing is we got rid of the false nine system and are now playing general football. So starting Ortega won't be a much difference. It could be a difference JSK in the Premier League because those defense splitting passes, those sort of things are actually, that build up is actually more crucial in the Premier League, I would say, than in the Champions League, because the pressure of that knockout game, especially in the knockout games, the pressure at the end, it just gets to you, and in those situations only two people can do reflex actions. One is goalkeeper making saves because it is of his usual nature, and the other is striker, burying chances. I mean, you might be so much experience, but in those crunch moments, last seconds of the UCL knockout match, for example, you just lose your head and you just don't know what you're doing. So we need people who can, save us in those moments, especially when we are under the cost. See, thinking about this, one question has come to my mind. Under the cost, who do you think is better at saving us, Ederson or Ortega? Under the cost, who do you think feels more confidence in our defenders, an Ederson or an Ortega? So when you're under the cost, your shot stopping abilities come to the fore, because in an UCL match there will be moments when you'll be under the cost. So I think this will be the question Pep will ask himself: under the cost, under pressure, who against Atletico second leg last half, against Real Madrid second leg last 4 5 minutes, who will save me better? So that is one question that Pep will ask. Gaurav says we must win the Champions League this or next season. It's high time to show some other clubs and attract superstars after Pep departure. I mean, Pep is not telling this, but I think Pep will actually be very disappointed if he goes out from City without winning the Champions League, because Pep has built a system, a system that can conquer any team, conquer any other system that is in front of it. So Pep will be more disappointed than anybody else if we don't win the Champions League. Jess says benching Ederson in UCL for a player who hasn't played any UCL game and without proving himself will be very bad for his confidence. I think Ortega will actually be given chances in the knockout. I mean, not in the group matches initially, I think. And also, I think Pep will have a chat with Ederson, actually explaining him the situation and things like that. Maybe they'll share the cup competitions. Maybe Ederson will start in the FA Cup and Premier League, and Ortega Carabao Cup and the Champions League. Could be possible, actually. That's why this season is exciting, because there are so many unknowns, so many factors. Haaland's adaptation, Ortega or Ederson. Why did Ortega come? Who will be our fullback? On the outside, to the outside fans, it might seem like these people are set. There is nothing for them to discuss about their team, champions and all. But when you look on the inside, so many factors to discuss, so many points that are still unclear. That is what makes this season very exciting. JSK says Ortega also had the chance to go to Ajax and Bayern, where he could have won trophies too, but he rejected them. This shows Ortega's motive is not only trophy. Exactly, Jessica. He had moves from high-profile clubs. Bayern was the one, but definitely he had a offer from Ajax to start as the number one also. So it's still puzzling me. Will be interesting to see what Pep does. JSK says plus in Ajax he would have been the first choice goalkeeper. So rejecting his first place doesn't make sense unless Pep made him some assurances, like you said. Yes, that all the logic seems to point to that. But then when has Pep done things based on logic? Pep always goes against logic. So let us see what Pep does. JSS Allison is better than Ederson, no doubt, but he's very proven. But Ortega isn't proven at top level. He hasn't played a UCL game and an international match. Allison is better than Ederson in shot stopping aspect. That's all, JS. In terms of distribution, in terms of goalkeep, passing out from the back, I think Ederson is miles above Allison. And also, see, Allison is better. Allison is good only in one-on-one scenarios. Where, for example, when a ball comes into the box, a lot of times I see Allison, unissured, Allison flapping at the ball, and all of these things. But one thing he's good at is those one-on-ones, making those fingertip saves. But you're right, we should not just tell that Ortega will replace Edison and things like that. We'll have to see how he proves himself. And the Community Shield, I think, will be a big, big test for Ortega on what he's made up of. That will be the first time when we fans can actually see what he does. Because Claudio Bravo was impressive in Spain. And in the Premier League, I think he just couldn't settle down. He just couldn't be there. Claudio Bravo was a very good shot stopper, by the way. Couldn't settle into the Premier League. So yes, we should not just assume that Ortega will replace Edison just like that. We'll have to see, especially in the Community Shield, will be the best place to start for that. GSS, and if that good Ortega would have been selected by Hansi Flick. But I think there's a lot of goalkeeping competition in the German football team. I think so. It's not easy to get into the German football team. JSK says that's what I'm saying. Ederson should start all the Premier League games and Ortega should start all the Cup games. I think JSK, the only problem is Ortega good enough to start a Champions League knockout game for us, and that we will not know now. That we will only know when Pep takes that call. And we have seen, Pep doesn't shirk away from making calls that just seem like outlandish, idiotic to the outside, and sometimes they turn out to be idiotic. You just can't say Pep does all the crazy things and is correct all the time. Pep is wrong more often than he's correct, but the courage of Pep, to take those crazy calls, even though he's criticized, that's what makes him the best in the world. Champions League final, no CDM. Which manager in the world would have done that? No other manager. So I would not say just that Pep has given assurances to Ortega and Pep starting Ortega in the CL is the correct decision. You can never judge that. It might just backfire heavily, For all we know, Ortega could make a mistake, a simple mistake while distributing the ball, and the opposition striker would score from it. And all of the fans would then say, Pep is crazy, Ortega, you shit, why did you come? So, I mean, Destiny has other plans, things could turn out in a way that we can never imagine. But at least seeing why Ortega is coming, seeing his start stopping abilities, at the present moment, that seems to be the logical thing, starting him in the UCL, but we will never know until the UCL starts. Gaurav says, I don't think we should hype Ortega too much. We must see what he's capable of in the Premier or any cup competition. Yes, Gaurav, in the Community Shield we should see, and then we should. And every day Pep sees him in the training as well, right? So if Pep starts him in the UCL, it would mean that he has seen enough of him in training. Because in training, remember, Ortega is competing directly with Ederson. So Pep is seeing what Ortega is doing daily in training. Pep will see what he does in Carabao Cup games, in the Community Shield and all of that, and then he'll take a call. So I think if Pep takes a call to start Ortega, I think Pep must have seen enough of him. If it doesn't, then we must imagine that maybe Pep thinks Ederson is anyway above Ortega right now. Just as using two keepers will cause havoc, like what happened in PSG with Navas and Donnarumma, as it creates sense of insecurity in players. Another valid point, Jess, another con of why Ortega should not maybe start in the Champions League games. Especially the understanding between the keeper and the centre backs is so crucial, right? Based on how we play. So I actually think that the partnership might be unsettled. I mean, we have seen, the confusion, a bit of a confusion between Ortega and Ake, for example, which led to Club America's first goal. That could actually happen. Striker pressurizing you, Ortega passing to Ake, and then the pass not reaching. A lot of things could happen. So, a valid point. See, the cons and the pros are actually weighing up equally. Should we start Ortega or should we not start Ortega in the CL game? So, they're just weighing up equally. So, I think this is is one of the most puzzling transfers we've had at City in the last since Pep came, because we knew that when a player came, we knew exactly which position he would be. Will he start or will he be backup? But I think this is the one transfer after Pep came that is puzzling us. Like, will he start, or if he starts, which competition will he start? Why has he bought on? We haven't been puzzled by any other transfer than this, I think. Jessica says plus Allison panic in collecting the ball and often makes errors. Allison makes a lot of errors, but all of his errors are covered by shot stopping, right? You make 10 errors, but you make an excellent save, like a save of a sure shot goal. Defenders forget everything because he saved a sure goal scoring opportunity. JSS also in City goalkeepers must be very concentrated as we are not very challenged by opposition. But for Ortega, he was under pressure in every match. Yeah, that's another aspect. That's another aspect. You know, how can you react? How can you show your reflexes when you're calm for Real Madrid match again is an example. Ederson was calm for that 90 minutes, right? And then Madrid had zero shots on goal that entire second leg, and then one cross from Benzema and it's a goal. So you're right, that's again a challenge, right? How do you be for 90 minutes be without an activity? How do you keep yourself warm, and then you have to make that high quality save? That's a big challenge. That's actually a challenge again. Jessica says, let's see what happens after the season starts. This Ortega Ederson debate will never end until the season starts. I think even Pep can't end this debate, right? Even in Pep's mind, I'm very sure that Pep is discussing the same debate. But Pep has time. I think until that Champions League matches come in September, October, I think Pep will actually have seen enough of Ortega in the Carabao Cup games and training. Pep will have inputs from his goalkeeping coach as well, Xavi Manchester. He'll have inputs from Scott Carson. So I think Pep will be in a good place when September comes, when the Champions League knockout starts, to make a decision actually. JSS also Pep is not in charge to goalkeepers. They report to some other guy who report to Pep. So Pep is not directly involved in training of goalkeepers. Yeah, JS, it's Xavi Manchester. But actually, what the goalkeepers do is, unlike the traditional thing in England, where I mean before Pep came, the traditional thing in England would be that first team trains somewhere else and the goalkeepers are taken away and they train. But the tradition in Spain is, Pep also said it a lot of times, the tradition in Spain is that goalkeepers train with the first team so that they get good at passing the ball and all. So at City, goalkeepers actually, I know Pep is not in charge as you said, but goalkeepers actually train with the first team a lot than it is traditionally done in other English clubs. So Pep will have an eye on it, but you're right, Xavi Manchester is the one who gives Pep inputs. JSK says, but I will stick to Ortega as our first choice keeper in cup games. I would actually, JSK, I would actually like to wait till a couple of cup games are over, especially the Carabao Cup games and the Community Shield. I would like to see Ortega's performance there, and then I would actually like to assess what is it, should is he good enough to start in cup games or not. Until then I would be on the edge on this thing little bit. I'm little bit leaning towards Ederson, but I would actually see I'm on the fence on this one actually. I would actually like to see more of Ortega under pressure. Liverpool will be a big test because they'll be pressing us a lot more. For example, Salah will be on to you, Luis Diaz will be on to you. How do you pass under pressure? It will be a big test. The Community Shield will actually decide if Ortega starts. It will actually decide whether Ortega is good enough to displace Ederson in cup games, because the pressure from Salah, Diaz, the pressure to pass the ball out from the back, one of the most difficult things to do against Liverpool. You know, I would not be surprised if Pep starts Ederson in the Community Shield, just keeping in view the Liverpool pressure. But I think Ortega, there's a high chance that Ortega will start, and we will see, because Pep would also like to know more about Ortega, and it's just the Community Shield where the stakes are actually low. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me. The discussion has been wonderful today. A lot of debate today, a lot of chat. The conversation was just outstanding today. Thank you so much, guys, again for joining this. Had a wonderful time with you all. Again, if you like the content, please click on the like button, guys, and please click on the subscribe button, the bell icon, if you want to get notified whenever I put out new videos. JS says, I'm not saying Ortega is bad, but first he needs to prove himself before starting in PL and yes. Exactly, JS, even I am with you. Right now, I'm on the fence regarding this issue because Ortega, he has, we have clips of him in the Bundesliga. We have clips of him from the preseason game. But after that, I mean, that's it. We don't have any other thing about him. So, I mean, the first starting point for me to see how he performs against Liverpool. If he performs well against Liverpool, especially in terms of passing out from the back, and there will be shots. Luis Diaz, there will be shots put out against Stefan Ortega there. How will he react to them? How will he make saves? All of those things. I mean, Liverpool is his big test if he has to. I mean, we will know after that Liverpool game. Will Ortega challenge Ederson or does he need time to challenge Ederson actually? So we'll see how it goes. And thank you so much, guys, again. See you all, guys, and take care.